take this job impersonally. So
The CBC is the oldest existing broadcasting service in Canada. In 1901, the first transatlantic wireless signal was sent from Cornwall to Newfoundland. In 1905, Canada's first Wireless Telegraph Act was formed. And in 1923, the CN Railway began radio service to trains. In 1929, the Arid Commission of Public Broadcasting recommended a national radio broadcast network to operate a coast-to-coast system. This led to 1930s, where the first Canadian Radio League was organized. In 1931, the first Canadian television experiments were conducted, which led to 1932, the government of R.B. Bennett establishing a Canadian Radio Broadcast Commission. In 1936, the CRBC became a full government-owned corporation and gained its current name, the CBC. The development of the television in Canada was interrupted by World War II. After the war, Canada opted to not experiment with broadcast television until a time came when they would bring over a system that served for the best interest of the country. In 1946, the CBC FM stations opened in Toronto and Montreal. In 1947, the CBC presented a 15-year plan for development of television in Canada. The CBC News is the largest broadcast news gathering operation in Canada. They provide services for CBC Radio, CBC Online, local newscasts, and even Air Canada's in-flight entertainment. Coverage of sporting events including Canadian Women's Opening, Track and Field Championship, World Figure Skating Championship, curling, etc. The CBC's The National, The Rick Mercer Report, Little Mosque on the Prairie, Hockey Night in Canada, The Hour with George Stopolopoulos, The Red Green Show, This Hour Has 22 Minutes, The Border.
CBC receives around $1.5 billion annually from all revenue sources. Government funding dropped from $946 million in 2006 to $914 million in 2007. The inflation-adjusted operating budget of CBC has increased by about 6.5% between the last Liberal appropriation in 2005 and the latest Harper appropriation in 2008. As opposed to funding techniques that other networks such as PBS use, CBS sells advertising on both their television networks and websites. CBC's audience demographic made a drastic change in 2006, when the head of English television, Richard Stursberg, outlined CBC's new programming priorities. Market studies found that CBC attracted people wanting to be informed, such as news programs, rather than people looking for entertainment. CBC attempted to change this by targeting younger viewers and airing more and more programs with the goal to entertain. CBC is known best for its news programming, which targets a wide demographic, the 18 to 65 age range, but is also known for children's programming and Canadian drama programs. Among its revenue sources, the CBC received $1 billion in its funding from the federal government. This has been a source of a very heated debate. CBC's funding differs from that of the public broadcasters because most collect a license fee, or those in the United States, such as PBS and NPR, which receive some public funding but rely on voluntary contributions. Also, the CBC's television networks and websites sell advertising, while cable and satellite-only services such as Newsworld additionally collect subscriber fees. CBC's radio services do not sell advertising except when required by law, for example, to political parties during federal elections. In 2006, the CBC received a total of $1.53 billion from all revenue sources.
Expenditures for this year include $616 million for English television, $402 million for French TV, $126 million for specialty channels, a total of $348 million for radio services in both languages, $88 million for management and technical costs, and $124 million for immortalization of property and equipment.
The CBC differs from private medias, particularly in its focus on Canadian content. CBC says that long-term funding is required to provide better Canadian dramas and improved local programming. Much of the public funding actually goes to the radio networks, and that the CBC is responsible for the full cost of most of its primetime programming, while public networks can fill up most of their primetime schedules with American series acquired for a fraction of their production cost. Although the CBC has a similar style to that of the BBC, and therefore has a unique national responsibility to advance Canadian culture without commercial objects, the CBC's budget is only a fraction of the size of the BBC's budget.
Hubert T. Laurent was born July 13, 1955. He's a Canadian lawyer and president and CEO of the CBC. He was appointed presidency effective January 1, 2008 by Prime Minister Stephen Harper in 2007, replacing the current president Robert Renabotovich. Born in Montreal, Quebec, he received a Bachelor of Law degree from McGill University Faculty of Law in 1976. He then received a Master's in Business Administrations from McGill in 1981. He was a senior advisor at a law firm before becoming a chairman for Telemedia in 2000 to 2003. He has been a board of directors for various different technology companies and deals with electronics. He teaches in securities and mergers and acquisitions. He was a basketball color commentator in Télévision de Radio Canada during 1984 to 1988, and in 1996 Summer Olympics, he was a weekly commentator for Canada Sports Radio.